I've been pushing for a third option on that.
They don't like the beach.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Good morning. Welcome to this beautiful, almost spring day. I'd like to call the March 3rd, 2020 City Council meeting to order. Please call the roll.
Daveline.
Here.
Soldner.
Here.
Bagwell.
Here.
Garza.
Here.
Pyrus de Carvalho.
Here.
Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This morning's prayer will be given by Chief Beer. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all that you've done in this great city of Hutchinson. We ask that you grant wisdom and help us remember that it is you who gives wisdom, because through your mouth comes knowledge and understanding. We thank you, Lord, for granting wisdom to our city leaders. Amen.
Amen.
Next item, please.
Item 4, oral communications from the audience.
Okay, this is the portion of the meeting where we invite anyone from the audience who has an item not on the agenda to come and speak. Please state your name and address and limit your remarks to 5 minutes. Is there anyone who would like to address the council? Okay, hearing none, please call next item.
Item 5, consent agenda.
So the consent agenda has the Hutch Rec commissions for the Salt City Splash. Since I'm new, I was just hoping I could get just a more. I read through the whole contract, but
Well, actually, Tony
wanted
Finley
more
addressed it.
information.
Justin, give a little.
Okay.
just
Great.
informational
No, it's
wise.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, good morning.
morning.
Justin Combs, Director of Parks and Facilities. So this is the agreement we've had with Hutch Rec since the opening of the pool. So the city owns and maintains the pool. We start the pool up every spring, close the pool down in the fall. But during the actual pool season, the operation is done by Hutch Rec. So the lifeguards,
Okay.
concession stand workers, all those are Hutch Rec employees. So this is
Okay.
just a formal agreement making those arrangements.
Okay.
Nothing significant has changed from the previous version, so that's why it's on that consent agenda.
Okay. I just didn't know much about it, so I figured
Yeah.
that I'd
Yeah.
ask. And so that's just a partnership between Hutch Rec
Absolutely, yeah, yep.
and the
Yes.
city to facilitate. That way, you have
Yeah, the way I like to
daily
say
of-
it is it allows us to do what we're good at, which is the
Mhm.
maintenance and the building side of things, and it allows Hutch Rec to do what they're good at, which is the
Mhm.
programming side of things. We have a very similar agreement for Fun Valley and the sports arena on the rec side to operate those sorts of things. So
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Good question. Other questions or a motion on the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Daveline.
Yes.
Soldner.
Yes.
Bagwell.
Yes.
Garza.
Yes.
Pyrus de Carvalho.
Yes, next item, please.
Item 6A, consider resolution setting a public hearing for a certificate of public convenience and necessity.
Paul Brown, City Attorney. A application for certificate of public convenience and necessity has been submitted by Richard Burgess. Under our city code, we're required to set a public hearing, determine whether or not that should be granted. That's all that is done today. We're just suggesting that it be set for hearing on the next council date and then on March 17. And then notice is sent to the applicant and also to others who provide that taxi service currently.
Bless you.
And that's just for a new taxi service in town?
Yes.
Okay.
So if we set the hearing, it will take place on St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion on this?
I would move to approve setting the public hearing for March 17, 2020, to consider the application of Richard Burgess for a certificate of convenience and necessity to operate a taxi service within the city of Hutchinson, Kansas.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Daveline.
Yes.
Soldner.
Yes.
Bagwell.
Yes.
Garza.
Yes.
Pyrus de Carvalho.
Yes, next item, please.
Item 6D, consider resolution approving the Hutchinson Fire Department 2018 to 2023 strategic plan.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council.
Good morning.
If you remember back, for some of you back, February 6th, we actually looked it up, February 6th of 2018, I came before you and we talked about the strategic plan at that time. As we're going through our accreditation journey, one of the requirements, we have to have a resolution approving it by City Council. And so I come before you back today to ask for that resolution to be approved and adopting our strategic plan.
Okay. Okay, I know we've all had a chance to read this
Mhm.
a couple times now.
Yeah.
Are there other questions, or is there a motion on this item?
I will move to approve the resolution adopting the Hutchinson Fire Department 2018 to 2023 strategic plan.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? Hearing none, please call the roll.
Dave Line?
Yes.
Soldner?
Yes.
Bagwell?
Yes.
Garza?
Yes.
Tyros de Carvalho?
Yes, next item, please.
Item 7A, consider bid report and project award for wastewater pipe maintenance and manhole rehabilitation.
Good morning.
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 Jeff Peterson, Director of Engineering. First of all, I'm going to give a little background before we kind of go over the bid report for this project. This is a 27-inch diameter, CIPP, which is cure-in-place piping, sewer rehabilitation, and manhole rehabilitation project. The project location is from Poplar Street to Severance Street between 3rd and 4th Avenues. So you can kind of see there's the route where the sewer is going to be rehabbed. In order to kind of do all this, the sewer lining process is a little bit different than the regular conventional dig and replace, those types of things. This allows us to have minimally invasive work done on the sewer line, and this 27-inch sewer line is a critical piece of the city's infrastructure, and if we rehab it, we can extend the life of this line for 20 to 50 years. So there's a number of steps that goes into the lining process. First, it gets cleaned, and then it's televised to see where all the individual services are. And then this picture shows where there's essentially a felt liner that goes into the pipe that's impregnated with an epoxy type resin. That goes from manhole to manhole. They seal one end and then they put pressure on it so it forms the same shape as the existing sewer line that it's going into. And then they also introduce heat or steam or hot water into it to actually cure the lining as we go forward. So essentially that's a new pipe inside the existing pipe. So it makes one continuous pipe in between the existing one. And why we do this, I can kind of show you that. This is just a picture of the 27-inch pipe. It's a concrete pipe that's lined with clay tiles on the inside, and this is one that's in good condition. But we have these ones where some of the clay tiles are beginning to fall out, and then it's just exposed to the concrete pipe. Hydrogen sulfide can work on the concrete pipe and cause collapses and different things like that on the sewer line. So this is one location that'll get lined through, so we'll have a new pipe through that location. This location is underneath essentially the Planet Fitness or the old Osco drug building, so it allows us to do these things that aren't invasive where we have to conventionally dig up and actually do the repairs. So that kind of shows one location that we wouldn't normally be able to get access to for this process.
What's the lifespan? of the
20 to
line?
50 years.
Oh, that's good.
So that'll extend the life of the existing sewer lines.
And then after the lining process and then that deteriorates, would the next option be to where you do like a trenchless under Planet Fitness?
Well, we would hope so. There's
Yeah.
other lining processes. We haven't got to a point where we've needed to do anything on any of the ones we've lined previously in the past 20 years. So lining could be an option depending on what happens in there, or there might be places we'd have to do some other types of rehabilitation. I don't know exactly what they would be at this point.
Because I know
but-
some of them you actually, they like break out the old one while replacing.
You can. We
a
haven't
new
done
one?
any of that type of
Yeah.
work.
I was saying, would that be the next step?
Well,
Like
it may be.
hopefully we have better
it de-
technology by
Well,
then, right?
it depends on the number of services and other things, because we'd have to dig
Yeah.
up every individual service and reattach those if we did that type of
That type.
that type of thing.
So this is just a method that doesn't require trenching.
Correct. It is. And then once they're done, this is kind of a before and after. So, they line past all the services initially, and then a little robot or some machinery goes in there, and they go and grind out each individual service where the sewer comes in there. So, something can take a couple of days instead of a couple of weeks to do certain areas. So it's a lot faster, and it's less invasive than most methods to do that. So anyway, that's kind of just a background. I just thought for some of the newer members too, so they kind of have an idea. But it was on February 11th, we received 4 bids for the project. The low bid was from SAK Construction in the amount of $1,058,946. The bid was over BG Consultants. That's the consultant that did the design for us estimate, but it is below the actual 2019 CIP that we had for the project, or the budget for this project. Due to the number of bids and the need to complete this work, it is the opinion that rebidding this project wouldn't yield a lower price going forward. So we did look at the bids to see which things impacted the bid quite a bit, and one of those things was the repair of about 15 services in this line. This work would be completed after the lining process, so it's not a time critical item that we need to complete, but it is something we need to complete. But if we'd remove those services from this contract, we would be able to lower the project by about $170,000 and bring the project cost to about $881,096. So the city would have the option to either hire a local plumber or even potentially have public works sewer maintenance crews do this work after the lining is complete. So I think there would be some savings. There's still some costs, but it wouldn't be the $170,000 that was bid in this project. So the sewer reserve funds will pay for this work, and the completion date for this project is January 1st of 2021. So I would recommend that the council approve the project with the reduced scope and be awarded to SAK Construction LLC in the amount of $881,096. So.
Do we do a couple every year?
No, we don't. The last one we did was like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. It more depends on if we have reserve funds available. Right now, we don't really have any scheduled. We have one other one scheduled right now, but going forward, the funding for that isn't available, and we're going through a rate study anyway to kind of figure out where we need to be, so we can maybe have some funds available for more of this work, because it is a cheaper way to do things than the conventional way of doing things on our older lines in the city that we don't really want to dig up through developed area and cause a lot of disruption. So.
Now, if we would have a problem with one of these newer sewer lines, you have the coating in it, and something came, we bored something through it, which happens sometimes. Then you have to dig it up to repair it with this white one, or what?
But we may only need to dig it up at one location instead of the whole location if we have a problem like that, Steve.
Okay.
So, and hopefully it wouldn't happen anywhere under, and we only really have one area that's underneath a building, which is the Osco drug building, but most of the others are mostly accessible. So
What I'm asking more, will it break the seal of the white thing? And then
it shouldn't, because it's essentially its own pipe.
Okay.
It essentially provides structural strength out besides the pipe, so it's a freestanding pipe essentially. It just needed something to form onto.
Okay.
So.
Jeff, a question on the tap repairs. Are you confident that the outsourcing this to a private plumber or to our city staff would be most cost effective in your judgment?
I do. I think we did talk with the Public Works Department on this, and they're able to do this work if they needed to. And
do we have the manpower to do that?
It potentially, or we would outsource it to a local plumber, and I think it would be cheaper because the company that bid this is from O'Fallon, Missouri. Most of these people come from quite a ways away, so I don't know exactly who they were hoping, or if they had in their own forces to do this work. So their mobilization costs. There's a whole host of things that would take them to get here to do all this work, so.
Okay, as long as you're confident.
Yes, I am pretty
As long
confident.
as you're confident, that's the
Yeah.
important thing, yeah.
And what kind of work does that entail exactly for the
They would have to,
public works to do?
it would be excavating the actual location of where the service hour is, and then just replacing the tap that goes actually into the pipe that had just been lined. So it's just, and then connecting back the service. It's just locations where we have services that potentially would cause problems in the future, that may plug or have settled. The service may have settled a little bit. So it's just replacing existing problems on the sewer lines, so.
And what would be the timeline for that to be completed?
For that, it would just be after the lining gets done. I don't know exactly when we'd schedule that. We don't know exactly when they're going to start yet, so I don't know exactly when that work would take place yet. So
Okay.
we haven't got those details yet, so.
Well, great, thank you.
Okay. Any others?
Further questions or motion on this item?
Take a deep breath, you did good.
I know, I kind of got
I'm
got a
excited
little
to get,
fast.
I'm excited
way
to
it works.
see the creative thinking, to get the local staff involved, or even local plumbers to bring that, some of that wealth back into the city, or using our city staff. So that's great to see that you're thinking like that. And also, I love the fact that we are being able to repair something that needs to be repaired that's vital to the city, so.
Is there a motion?
I would move to approve the reduced scope bid and authorize the mayor to sign a contract with SAK Construction LLC in the amount of $881,096, subject to compliance with all legal requirements.
Second?
Please call the roll.
Dave Line?
Yes?
Soldner?
Yes.
Bagwell?
Yes.
Garza?
Yes.
Tyros de Carvalho.
Yes, next item, please.
Item 7B, consider 2020 parking lot and road improvement bid results.
Good morning, Justin Combs, Director of Parks and Facilities again. So this item has 4 individual projects. They were all kind of wrapped up into one bid. We did that really to take advantage of some economies of scale, hopefully to get some better bids. So I'll run through each individual project, and then we'll look at the bid tab at the end. So the first project is a mill and resurface at a city-owned parking lot downtown at First and Washington. Just for reference, this corner here that I'm highlighting with the pen is the corner of the First National Bank parking garage. So a lot we're talking about is the lot shown here. The X's, so these squares with X's are full depth repairs, so that's where we have significant cracking in the parking lot, so we'll dig those up, make a repair to the base. And then the rest of the parking lot will receive what's called an edge mill, so we'll mill 1.5 inches of the asphalt off of the areas where it meets existing pavement, so where it meets the sidewalk or another pavement, we'll mill 1.5 inches off. The rest of it will just mill about 1 inch off. The reason we do that is it saves a little bit of money because we don't have to mill as much off. And then when we go back with a full 1.5 inches of new asphalt, our 2 edges line up. Where we milled 1/2 inch, where we milled 1.5 inches, we put 1.5 inches back. So those edges are, so it does raise the top of the parking lot by about 1 inch, which just will help with drainage. So that's the first project is First in Washington. Second project is very similar, Sherman and Walnut. If you remember, a few years ago, we did the parking lot directly north of this on the other side of Sherman. Really the same things happening here. It'll be an edge mill. This image does not show the full depth reconstructions, but we have a big area down here and then 5 or 6 other smaller areas. Also wanted to point out that there's an existing parking lot light, and we are going to replace that with a new one. So the contractor will remove the base and give us a new base, and then city electrician will install a light similar to what we have across the street to the north. As far as striping and configurations, neither one of these parking lots change significantly. On the previous one on First Street, we do add 1 additional ADA stall. But other than that, really nothing changes, just pretty much a maintenance project on those 2. The next one is Cary Park Fishing Road. So just for orientation, along here is Cary Park Golf Course, and then to the south you have the disc golf course. So this is the fishing pond. This is the pond that we've stocked with channel cat throughout the summer. Very popular fishing location. The current road comes around here and then circles the entire pond and then comes back out here to Emerson Loop. And so what we're proposing is to just go around the outside and not do this inner loop. There's a couple reasons why we just want to eliminate this inner loop and just do around the outside. First is it's less pavement we'll have to maintain in the future. Second is it really doesn't look good. So we have a road, and then we have the Jim Martinez Trail, and then we have this other really poor shape road here. And people now they pull down this road and they pull as close as they can get to the water and fish. And it just looks bad. It creates a lot of trash. It kills the turf. It ruts it up. So we're just trying to make a aesthetic improvement to the entire area, as well as limit the long-term maintenance. And so in order to help prevent the parking along the pond, we're adding, I believe there's 4 small parking lots along the outside. So this will be a full depth reconstruction. So we are taking everything out, 6 inches of new base. We'll put GeoGrid, which is basically kind of looks like snow fence, honestly. Goes on top of the crushed stone, and then 1.5 inches asphalt on top of that. So this will be a brand new road. The reason we're doing the GeoGrid is to help it for when it does go underwater, because this pond is directly connected to the water table. So this pond comes up and down as the river does, and has gone underwater, or will go underwater. The road will, so this will help protect it. I'm sure that's why we saw so much degradation of the existing road. And then the final project is going to take a little bit more explanation. It's McQueen Fields. If you're not familiar with McQueen Fields, this is Cary Park Golf Course. This is the zoo, the county jail. So this is McQueen Fields. There are 3 fields kind of tucked in here. The current parking lot situation, we've got the primary parking lot here, and then we have this little finger that comes up here. Right up here, just kind of where the D is on Fields, is a restroom that's along the Jim Martinez Trail, and then we have a driveway here. This whole project started a couple years ago, actually when one of my kids was playing t-ball. If you've ever been to these fields on t-ball night, it's chaos. There's cars everywhere. The parking lot is in really rough shape. You can see some of these big potholes even from an aerial photograph. But the thing that was most concerning for me is we have our most vulnerable kids. So we have our 3 and 4-year-olds in our worst parking lot and our most unorganized parking lot. It was really, in my opinion, it was a disaster waiting to happen. So I wanted to, the idea was just to organize this parking lot so it's safer for the users, as well as do a maintenance and repair some of these major defects we have in the parking lot. So I'll walk through these. There's three alternates, so I'll walk through each one and what they do. The base bid mills everything that's there, just basically 1/4 of an inch, really just scratches the surface, and then we get 1.5 inches of new asphalt. So it'd be all of this area, be this area, not this. We're adding asphalt here. I'll talk about that in a minute. But so this is the existing, kind of on the right side of this line. So we'd just mill and resurface all of this, and then also with this drive that comes in is the base bid. Base bid also adds some ADA parking here, and then a couple sidewalks connecting, and then all the pavement striping that you see to help organize and help make the parking lot a little bit safer. Alternate 1, then or A, I guess, is to add this parking up here. The purpose of this parking was to accommodate the playground that's right here. And also on big tournament nights and those sorts of things, we thought we could use some additional parking, but that's new, that's not existing parking. Alternate B was then to add the parking on the south side of the drive. Again, more just as overflow for tournaments and big events. Alternate C then, the final alternate, adds this little bit of pavement right here, and then that allows us to add parking stalls here. I believe there's 17 or 20 parking stalls right here. And then probably the most important for this alternate for me is it connects this sidewalk along the edge of the field up to the restroom. Again, we have our 3 and 4-year-olds using this facility. We don't have a great location for the restroom, and there's not a great way to get there. So alternate 3 includes that. that sidewalk connecting the restroom, as well as makes this much more usable as parking. There's still enough room down here on the end if somebody wants to turn around, they can turn around here. And then this parking is still very close to the new playground. So those were the three alternates. The bid results are a little complicated, so I will kind of run through those. The downtown parking lots were bid together as one project. You can see the budget, $327,000 for the two. Engineer's estimate was $201,000. Low bid, or all the bids were well below the engineer's estimate. Low bid for that individual item was actually APAC Shears. We think the reason the budget was so far off on this item was when this was designed, we were thinking we were going to do an 1.5 mil across everything, as opposed to just an 1.5 inches around the edge. So that reduces the cost by quite a bit. Also, when we bid these or budget these 2 and 3 years out, we have to kind of think about what's going to happen to the market, and we have very, very competitive bids here. Even compared to the engineer's estimate, which is a much better guess because we're closer to the bidding climate. Still had great numbers here. So
I had a question on some of the thinner. Are you still having a good? Because I know that like the parking lot over there near the sports arena is like really cracked and crazy now. Are we at least doing something thicker than that?
Yeah. So at the sports arena, we just did a seal coat, which is honestly it's like black paint with a little bit of tar in it. So it just puts a nice surface over the top. What we're doing is we're adding 1.5 inches of brand new asphalt to all these.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because it's really like. Have you ever tried taking a stroller?
Yep. Yes. I actually have. Yeah. You'll be seeing that item here probably in a few months in the CIP process. So, yep. Yeah.
Right,
this is a much more permanent. Long term, I guess I should say, long term solution.
Yes.
My guess would be 15 plus years with some seal coat, some crack filling.
All right, thank you. Yep. I just want to make sure you're not. Sometimes if you cut too hard, you end up with a mess.
Right.
So.
Yep. So the second one on here is the Pond Road. Again, great bids. You can see the engineer's estimate was actually slightly over the budgeted amount. So McQueen, then is the next one. So when I was looking at these bids, I really wanted to go back to what was the original intent of the project. The original intent was to make the parking lot safer and to maintain what we have, and not necessarily add that additional parking by the playground. So that's why it's my recommendation to accept the base bid as well as alternate 3C, for that project. It does bring that project a little bit over budget as an individual line item, but on the flip side, the other ones are significantly under, and all of these will be bonded together. So none of these have been bonded yet.
You bond them?
The intent, I believe, is next meeting. Angela's going to come with a bond issue, but I'll have these plus several others on that. So,
Justin, one quick question for clarification's sake. That alternate 3C, was that the sidewalk up to the restroom? Did that include that?
yes.
Okay.
So 3C was basically adds the sidewalk here and then this little bit of asphalt, and which widens that drive enough that we can add this parking here.
Okay.
So basically the way we divide it is everything kind of on this finger going up towards the restroom is 3C.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the other would just remain as the road.
Yeah, this will still get milled and new asphalt, but we won't be adding this parking to this parking.
Which I think is excellent. I think that's a great recommendation. I actually wanted to go back to the pond for a second. I know, I ask a million questions.
No, that's great.
I go fishing at this pond with my stepbrother, so it's a great place. I love it. I think it definitely needs improvement. Where the old road is, are we going to go ahead and try to replace that with like turf or grass, or like get rid of the old beat up road just to make it more aesthetic eventually? Is there any plan with that?
We want the
Maybe add
contractor-
like a bench out there?
the contractor is going to completely remove that, so they'll bring
Yeah.
it all the way out. And the idea is, try to get grass in there.
Uh-huh.
I hadn't thought about a few benches, but that is a good idea, because there is, especially in this area, is one of the very popular areas to fish. So yeah, I think we could spot in a few
Like a
benches
trash
along
can
the
and
way.
a bench and some grass, just to make that
Yeah.
front really, really nice. I
Yeah, and we
think.
can add some trash cans along the parking too. Trash is a major problem.
But
with
we
the
are
pond,
taking that
so.
whole thing out and
The road,
getting grass.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just think
Yeah.
we could make it
So-
more pleasant
yeah,
and inviting, so that's great.
yeah.
Great
That
deal.
was the intent. Just clean it up a little bit, less maintenance down the road. This is the Jim Martinez Trail, so the trail will still be there, and then that's the loop road. So it is my recommendation to proceed with Ward Davis Builders. You will see these bids I've never seen bids like this. The difference between
Yeah.
Ward and Apex Shears
Yeah.
is like $41 on over a $500,000 bid. So very, very good for us, very competitive. So, but it is my recommendation to proceed with Ward Davis Builders, an amount not to exceed $521,517.
Justin, can you talk just a moment about timeline?
So we have a date. I believe the end of August is when all of these have to be complete. Okay. The engineer is shaking their head. Yeah. So we did have our engineering staff worked very heavily on this, as well as BG Consultants worked on it early on. So it'd be end of summer for this.
So it wouldn't be done in time for this summer, but it'd be done after summer, or would?
Yeah, we would not be able to catch this year's T-ball season at McQueen. They played in like May.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But you wouldn't start it during the
Correct.
summer.
We would not tear it up until
Okay.
they were
Okay.
done. Yep.
Thank you.
On the McQueen Field, go back to that picture, please. Now, the parking lot that you say that over here, yeah, all those would not be included in 3C. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Those are new additional. Based on the budget, decided those would be nice to have, but not necessarily a necessity.
You know, coming from a coach that's coached a long time and's been over there, we need those sometime. Yeah, and I agree with you. It's a lot of people are parking out there on the streets and everything else. So.
Yeah, the way people are parking now, if we can organize them, so if they'll park where they're supposed to in the lines,
Okay.
there will be more parking.
Okay.
And then by taking the 3C, we add, I think it's 17, if I remember right. I counted them just the other day. Additional stalls up here. So.
How many are in total? I don't want to sit there and try to count all
Yeah,
the
I counted them.
with the C.
I want to say there's 98 down here, and then another 17 up here.
Okay.
You're right, though, Steve. I'm partial to 3A as well because my daughter
Right.
is at that little toddler playground, and
Right.
I
This
park right on the road.
playground,
Right.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I don't park where I'm supposed to,
Yeah.
and
Well,
then
this parking
no
will
one who
be
goes
very
there
convenient.
does.
Yeah, everybody parks along the road. We're hoping by adding some stalls here. Yes,
Yeah.
it's probably an extra 30 feet. Somebody
Yeah.
would have to walk. Well, probably more than that, but it's not a lot.
Is
No, I think
there-
that'll help. I think
Yeah.
that'll help.
I'm just throwing out some, just a compromise type of thing. Could you put a little trail from the C,
Oh, yeah, a little sidewalk from
little
here.
sidewalk
over.
from there to there?
Yeah.
How much extra would that cost?
We can do that with in-house
Make it
staff.
easy
So
with the
just
strollers or.
yeah, that'd be.
I have kids with all different ranges, so I was just wondering if that might be a quick, easy, and then if people know park there, and you can take the little
Yeah.
sidewalk straight to
I
the.
think that's a great idea
Yeah, that would help encourage people to use
because
it.
people aren't going to park on that side if there isn't
Yeah.
Yeah.
a connection,
Yeah.
probably.
Yep.
Okay.
Further questions or a motion on this item?
Okay, I'm going to try this because I don't like reading out loud, all right? Motion to approve the contract with Ward Davis Builders for the parking lot and road improvements for the amount not to exceed $521,517 and authorize the mayor to sign. Did I do it right?
You did.
Yeah.
All right.
And I will second.
All right.
Justin, before you get away, after we vote here, I've got a question for you, if you don't mind. I'm sorry.
On this item, or?
Yeah, let's go ahead and vote.
Okay, please call the roll.
Sorry about that.
Dave Line,
Yes.
Soldner,
Yes.
Bagwell,
Yes.
Garza,
Yes.
Pyros de Carvalho.
Yes.
Since the sports arena parking lot was brought up, I'd like to revisit that a minute this morning. As we know, during the renovation of the sports arena, we deferred because of budget constraints to do what should have been done in the first place, which is the complete resurfacing of the sports arena. I don't think any of us really are very proud of the existing conditions, but what is your expectations as far as the plan to resurface the sports arena parking lot?
My plan is you'll see that as a CIP item here in the next couple months when we start looking at CIP for 2021.
2021.
We are currently working on the operating agreement with the sports arena, or with HCC, renewing that agreement for the operation of the sports arena. And in that agreement, it talks about the parking lot, that there should be some sort of cost share between the city, the college,
Very good.
and potentially 308. We haven't quite got there yet, but we're negotiating that contract now. Actually, our plan is to have it in 2 weeks, that contract with HCC, and that will give us some direction about a cost share on that parking lot. But it needs to be addressed. We should have done it 2 years or 3 years ago, but that'll be one I'll bring as a CIP for.
Would it be asking too much to consider bundling the Fun Valley situation, the parking lot, into this project in some way?
Into the sports arena?
Into the sports arena?
I'm not sure how much we would gain there because of have to move equipment so far, but I can talk with engineering to see. I mean, those are both big parking lots.
I know they are.
Big quantities.
I know it's a big ask, but
Yeah, we can explore that.
we continually defer it.
Yeah.
We deferred long enough the sports arena, and I'm encouraged to see some cost sharing of that, but the Fun Valley is also an issue.
Yeah. Yep.
Did we ever make a decision? We're not going to pave the entire Fun Valley parking lot, are we?
No.
We have, the intention's never been to pave
Okay.
the
No.
entire
I just
thing.
wanted to confirm that.
I think it was 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we did a chip seal
Yeah.
and striped 2/3 of it or
Yeah.
so. That would be my intention to mill and resurface that
Okay.
area.
Great.
On big tournament weekends, it's going to overflow into some of that gravel, but for Monday through Friday Hutchinson leagues, that 2/3 of the parking lot's is about
Sufficient.
adequate. So.
About right.
And I think the cost share on the sports arena will be a much bigger discussion than that we've got agreement today, because that will be a
Okay.
major conversation, not only with HCC but with 308, who really have never been
Right.
part of some of those conversations. But as you know, the users of those parking
They're
lots
users,
on a
yeah.
daily basis. So we'll want to have that conversation during the budget process far in advance for these other entities to prepare for that. So.
Let's get her done, huh? Thank you,
Thank
Justin.
you, Justin. Okay, next item, please.
Item 7C, consider Tower 1 graphic design options.
Oh, yes.
Good morning, Council, Mayor. You see we added a new option. Not really. So
There you go.
just wanted to bring a little levity at the end of the meeting. Just a quick recap, we need to paint Tower 1 again as part of regular maintenance that helps stop corrosion. So since we're painting it anyway, let's pick something maybe a little more exciting than we have in the past.
Pretty.
Based on our conversation at the last meeting, I updated some of the design as well as gave a few new ones, and each of them has a gray bottom so that it will cover or conceal the inevitable mold from condensation. I also, thank you to the chamber, was able to get a picture of our actual water tower so we can see what it's going to look like in our town instead of the kind of stock photo one we had before. So I don't think we can actually use this one. I think we would have a copyright issue from Ray Dunn, but let's look at the ones we have. So option 1 is very similar to what we talked about last time, but instead of having that yellow bottom, we have the gray bottom. Makes it a little less, salt hockey. And there's a blue outline on the star to kind of help that pop out a little better. It still does say Hutch. So the next one, Hutchinson, the whole word. And I kind of see this one as kind of design light. It's kind of an entryway into something a little funkier, so might be easier, more palatable. And then this one, we still have the bright blue, it makes a statement, but we just use the star from the flag as the O. And then this is what it'll look like if we decide to just go with just Hutchinson again. So that's what I came up with. I'm open for questions or discussion.
I think Jade knows which one I like.
I just want to say I got 0 comments on the $1 million sewer project on the agenda, but boy howdy, you start talking about water tower design and you're going to get some advice. And people were very adamant who reached out to me that they didn't want just Hutch.
Yeah, I
I
got that.
didn't see a
too.
problem with that,
Me
but it's
too.
good to have that input because I would have been fine to go with Hutch. I like option
It's a
3.
generational thing, Jay.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I appreciate your willingness to come back with different options. I like 3. I think that's the one you liked, Sarah.
Yes, I just think it.
Does anybody else
yeah.
have strong opinions?
My only question is, with that dark blue and so on the coating, will that over time fade, or will it it can project that brilliant blue that we see there?
Yeah,
That's
a
my
good-
question.
That's a good
For
question.
me.
How good will it withstand? It looks great, but how will it
I would
withstand
expect
the
it to
stand
fade
time?
some. How much, I couldn't
Who knows?
tell.
Nobody really knows. huh?
Yeah, yeah. And probably just depends on how quickly we're gonna repaint it again.
Well,
This
and we
one's
should be doing
lasted
it every
15,
10 years?
16,
Okay.
17 years
15,
since the last
17,
time. So, yeah, I wouldn't guarantee that it's always gonna be that brilliant though, 15 years from now.
Maybe that's why they went with that baby blue last time.
But to be fair, it doesn't look great 15 years either.
No, it doesn't.
And white's going to look yellow, so just
Yeah.
putting that out there.
Oh yeah, if you just made like the top cap part a different color.
I think anything 15 years later
Your
is going to
later's
look a
gonna
little
look
different.
faded.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the lights. Have we had any discussion on cost savings for the city to put the lights in? Since
Yeah.
they are gonna be down at the bottom and we're gonna be maintaining them, I don't see why we couldn't.
Right, yeah, and
Put them
I don't
in.
have any issues with that. And
Yeah.
again, that's gonna be Justin's crews that will be out there doing that. He and I
Okay.
really haven't talked anymore about that, but
Yeah,
I don't
because-
see an issue of pulling that out. Most likely it would have been a subcontractor of the folks who were gonna paint the tower, putting those up anyway.
So if we do the lights, will this go out to bid with just the paint and then we'll
Yes.
buy the lights separately?
Right, we would bid the lights out through purchasing and.
We would do a bid option for the lights
No,
or,
we would just bid the painting only for the contractor.
okay,
And then we would go through our purchasing departments to order the lights.
okay.
Which is-
I know cause I had to reach out because I want to know things. That's what I do. I have this obsession with staying up late and researching things. This company that actually does water light towers and they do the full thing to just selling just the lights. And they had these real big ones. And so I reached out to them. They said we need about 4 lights on the ground, but they're actual color changing lights and it'd be the light and the housing. And they said it'd be $3,000 a light and they would have the color change options. And they just gave me pictures of water towers they've done like in Arizona and Texas and they look really good. So I didn't know if I could give you more information on
Sure,
that.
you bet.
Because I'm just saying colored lights would be really cool. And if we could get them for $12,000 plus a couple thousand in shipping and then have his department put it in and kind of really try to make this happen kind of attitude.
Right.
I mean, 4th of July, different colored lights, Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day. We could even sometimes throw up the city, the yellow and the city colored, like when we have, some of the Salt Hawk games. You know what I'm saying? I think it would.
So that was just 4 of the pillars. I think there's 10 or 11 pillars.
No,
And
I told her, I said, we need 10. And she said, no, our lights are really big. You'd only need the sparse 4 on.
And they would go right on
And
the
they
legs?
and they would shoot up, yeah.
Okay.
She
Yeah.
said because they're really big, if we got 10 of them, we would
Okay.
just,
Yeah, I'd take the information. We can reach out to them, have our designers.
Yeah, and
visit
yeah, so-
and
and
take
that's
a
what-
look at it.
they're a company that just literally all they do is water towers
Okay.
for cities.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian, quick question. If we do something like that, is the name of the city going to be illuminated?
No, it will not.
Okay,
Yeah.
that is the only comment I have received was from a gentleman who said, if we're going to go to all this expense, we ought to be able to read the word Hutchinson.
I
mean,
got that
I'm going to be
too.
honest. This is not the Eiffel Tower. There's nothing aesthetically appealing about a water tower. So if we're not illuminating Hutchinson, why are we even bothered to illuminate it?
Right.
I mean, seriously.
Yeah, and I think that's a question for the council to consider. And again, just from a staff perspective,
Yeah.
we would prefer not to see lights up on top that illuminate Hutchinson.
Yeah.
That's a maintenance issue
And I understand that.
for us, and we haven't had Hutchinson illuminated for over 2 years, and we haven't received any comments or negative feedback about that.
And that's where I wanted to push Nancy actually on the colored option
I mean,
versus
I'm
the
gonna
white.
be honest, I don't really care about colored lights. I mean, if we were illuminating an aesthetically appealing architectural structure, I could see putting that money into that. But a water tower is a water tower. There's nothing aesthetically appealing about it.
I would argue with that because I have done a lot of research on this, and a lot of cities are making their water towers like a key focus, and that's what really wanted me to draw off of the white. And if we could find a cheaper option to achieve the colored, because at that point, if we just have white lights, then yeah, it's kind of pointless to light it up. We can't even see Hutchinson. But if we have the colored lights, it brings sort of that art into it where you can celebrate those different holidays, and you're actually, so I would say, what's the point of lighting it up if we do just white? That's why I wanted to explore the option of trying to get a cheaper alternative to bring the color in, because then you're kind of you're making it into more of an art piece, was my understanding.
Must be a generational thing.
But with just the white, I would agree with you. But I think when you get the color in there, you're bringing in that art aspect to it.
Does anybody else have strong feelings one way or the other? No?
I like to have color lights if we can. But it's a bad deal not to have color lights. We can't see the name of it, though. I mean, that's the problem I see with it. I mean, but usually when you have color lights that go by other towns, so you can see the name on the tower where it illuminates. And I understand about the maintenance. I mean, I've been there. So you don't have any objective to it, Don? I mean, John?
No, I'm kind of indifferent about it, so.
Yeah. Well, what I like about the signage up at 30th, the entryway sign, 30th and K61, is that Hutchinson is lit up, and then around the holidays we do make it green and red. And I think that's kind of cool. I wouldn't be opposed to having colored lights here. I do
Not
like
the same price tag.
yeah, I'm not passionate about it. I would like to see Hutchinson lit up, but I don't want to put them up there. That doesn't make any sense from a maintenance perspective. And if you had them lit, if it was lit up from the ground up, would that just make the lumens would be too bright for the surrounding area, or?
Well, the issue is our site. We don't have enough.
You can't get far enough
We
out.
can't get far enough away
I
to
see.
shine a light up onto the Hutchinson.
Yeah.
And so that's why they thought, well, we'll just shoot it up the legs and kind of light up the legs and all the truss structure there. And from, I think water towers are kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I may be biased.
Like I said, it's not the Eiffel Tower.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we can work on I mean, obviously today we're talking about really the
Color.
paint, the color,
Yeah.
get that decided.
Yeah.
We'll have time
Yeah.
to work on the lighting scheme if there's that big a deal on that.
There's going to be as many options or opinions as there
Yeah.
are people
I
on
mean,
this.
and if we're doing that separate from the contract, we're doing it ourselves. We'll have options
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
look at that a little more closer and see what that might look like. So.
yeah. I mean, I don't have any problem painting it that color and using the gold star for the O. I mean, that's fine. So,
John, you okay with that option?
Sure. That's
yeah, doesn't look quite as salt hockey.
Gonna choose your battles?
Yeah.
And this isn't one of them? Okay.
Yeah.
Just to throw that, when we looked at it as staff, even Paul Brown liked this one.
Oh, wow.
So that's high praise.
That is saying something.
And he's a black and white guy.
It's a hard nut to
He's a
crack.
black
Even
and
his
white
business
guy.
cards are black and white, so.
Okay, well, now I understand that this won't be going out to bid as soon as we originally anticipated. It won't maybe go until the end of summer.
That's right. A couple things have come up that impacted our schedule. One, operations staff said they're a little concerned about losing Tower 1 1 million gallons during the summer. So we're going to do some testing and shut Tower 1 off and work with the golf course, and they're our biggest user down in the south end of town, and see how our system and the pressures in our system perform.
Yeah.
Depending on how that test goes, we may want to delay the contractor starting the work on that until after
Well,
summer.
what we could do is just close down the golf course for a
Yeah,
few
I
months
was
this
gonna
summer,
say,
John.
Yes, with the golf course. and
Wait,
John
what-
would care.
What do you think about that?
I move to, that we adjourn this meeting.
Yeah. So that schedule is a little bit in flux. We're still working on exactly when the construction could start and when it could end, but it
Okay.
could definitely impact the timing of when the paintings.
Okay.
And once we figure that out, I'll
Yeah.
update everybody
Yeah.
on that.
Nothing's quick in government. And that's all our fault right now. So anyway,
Yeah.
thank you
All
for your
right. Yeah.
patience on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
And thank you, Rebecca, again. Let's go ahead and move on to the next item.
Oh, are we gonna approve?
Well, there wasn't a motion on this. I thought, do we need to make a formal motion? No.
No, I think we all agree that that
Got
was okay.
consensus? Can't come back and say, I said
That
to.
way, you're not on record.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it, yeah. It was
Wasn't my
Rebecca.
intent, John.
It was
So when he
Rebecca.
comes back again, that's when we will do it?
Well, I
Or-
thought
No.
there was just consensus on number 3, and then we'll discuss lighting
Okay.
later.
And then later,
Later.
okay.
Yeah, because that
Alright.
won't be part of the bid now. It'll just be
Okay.
the paint. We'll take the paint out to bid.
So we don't have to commit to it
That's right.
at the moment. No.
Okay, Linda.
Item 8, report of city officials.
All right, what do you have for me, Nancy?
I just want to reiterate again how nice the police department recognition was last Saturday. I appreciated the long article in the paper about it because it told some of the stories. And so, very nice event.
Fantastic.
I don't have anything this morning.
Okay, what about you, Steve?
Yes, I just got a call this morning from the teacher at Hutch High, the government teacher. She's excited about getting a junior city council, and I'm going to meet with her next week to set up how we're going to do this. So she told me she's anxious to meet with me so we can get that started. Well, I promised the young when I was out there campaigning, they're putting me to it. So
Okay,
we'll see what happens.
fantastic.
All right.
Thanks. What about you, Sarah?
I went to the code enforcement meeting yesterday, so I'm on all of those meetings. So just working hard with that group to come up with a solution, and I think that we're getting there. It's a this at the moment, but I think that we've made some really good baby steps towards the right direction, and I think it's a work in progress.
Yeah, give and
Yeah.
take. Fantastic. The only item I had is that I did follow up with Commissioner Sellers about a possible joint city and county meeting. We don't have a date yet for that, but if I hear more, I'll let you know what dates we're looking at. Might be better to wait till we have a new city manager, and then everybody can meet everyone. So might be later in the year. What do you have, John?
A couple things, Mayor Council. Senate Bill 408, and Paula helped me a little bit on this, is a bill that some of you may have heard a little bit about in the legislature, and this would allow the state fair, during the state fair, to allow the consumption and carrying of alcohol throughout the grounds. So that was introduced, and there's a part of that bill that also makes changes to how that revenue that's derived during the state fair from the liquor tax is distributed. As of now, we get our share of that through the alcohol liquor tax fund, and so, right now 70% of that's directly distributed to cities and counties that provide that during the year. In this bill, all of that money would remain with the state fair, and so I was contacted by the league. What's the cities, because we're really the city that's impacted. I mean, Bueller gets South Hut's like $500 a year, So the fiscal note on that from the state is about $26,000 of liquor tax money that would normally go to the city of Hutch, South Hutch, but again, probably 95% of that is city of Hutch, would then remain with the state fair. And so we've been contacted as to how we want to, what position we have on that. Do we want to just take a neutral position? Obviously, we don't want to, stand in the way of what the fair is wanting to do. Not sure that bill has life. Not sure a whole lot about that. It's, to me, not sure I understand the concept of being able to just, carry alcohol throughout the fair, but that's not my, my place. So, for us, $26,000, we get about $300,000 a year from the liquor fund, liquor tax money now, and a third of that goes to special parks, a third of it to the general fund, and a third to the special alcohol liquor.
Alcohol fund.
And so, it's not a huge impact either way. It's going to affect them, maybe $8,000, dollars a year. And so I just bring that up to, do we want to take a position or just not worry about it? To me, it's not.
Neutral.
Yeah.
Neutral.
I would say it's not worth
Yeah,
dying
no.
on.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I'm at. I question whether that bill, it'd be interesting to see whether it even passes. But
That's the whole fair or just outside of the rides area?
I think it's
I
anything
think it's anywhere.
on the fairgrounds, you would be able to walk and sip your whatever.
I can't imagine that getting a lot of traction in the legislature.
No.
I can't either.
Yeah.
Not with the amount of
Yeah, so
families.
I'll inform the league just that we're remain neutral on it, and it's not a huge impact. So,
Okay.
okay, I had a second thing here. Hotel Convention Center, we've got a task force meeting on tomorrow, Wednesday, and basically we're going to begin talking about next steps, and I'll visit with you a little bit more about it. I don't have a lot more to say about that, but work on that project continues, and hopefully we'll have a direction that we can bring back to the full council, very shortly. So. And then last thing I want to bring up, and I'm going to have somebody bring up, we've got a new billboard at 3rd and Main we want you guys to see.
Oh, really?
And this is part of our effort. It's called the Working for Hutch campaign, and Rebecca's been working on that with our department heads. And these billboards and some of the Facebook posts we've been putting out represent, our workforce, our employees that work hard each and every day for this community, and I think sometimes get taken for granted. And so we had our poster folks there that agreed to be our first models, and they were somewhat reluctant, but I think a few of them are pretty proud of being up on that score. So we'll be rotating these around, Rebecca. Or is this?
Yeah, we're on a 2-year contract. We'll have it in 4 different locations throughout the city on 6-month.
Rebecca, can we get rid of that ugly wooden pole?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's got to go. That's got to go.
I'll call, is that Westar? I'll see what I can do.
Yeah,
there.
just have them.
And this is at 3rd and Monroe.
Turn that over to the city of Wichita, that wooden pole.
Right, okay.
They need more poles over there.
Oh, John.
So I
This
just
is
wanted
at
to
3rd and
let you know
Monroe.
that, and hopefully you'll see more of these around.
Where will it rotate?
We don't have the other
Okay.
places. It'll be 6 months at each location, so we'll
Great.
be picking locations as they come available. And we're going to have videos following up, just kind of showing, are people working 24/7, 365 for Hutch,
Yeah.
and asking the community to join us.
Great.
So, yeah.
I'll shoot you over the specs for the digital billboards. We'll get those up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, that's all I had, Madam Mayor.
Okay, at this time, we need to recess into executive session. Paul, how long do you think we'll need on this?
We're probably, let's see, we've got the one deal, probably an hour.
An hour? Okay.
I know you guys have been working hard, so.
I feel like I live here
yeah.
now. So we'll need a motion till 11 a.m.
Motion to recess into executive session pursuant to the preliminary discussion relating to acquisition of real property, exception KSA 75-4319B6. In order to discuss the terms of acquiring real property, the open meeting to resume in the city council chambers at 10:55 a.m.
Is there a second? Okay, please call the roll.
Dave Line?
Yes?
Soldner?
Yes.
Bagwell?
Yes.
Garza?
Yes.
Pyros de Carvalho?
Yes, and let's take a few minutes.
Yeah.